But here's, I guess, what I would call the uncomfortable question. Because, again, we find ourselves in a spot where you almost have to, you got to pick a player, right? You want Brock to play? Do you want Trey to play? Are you anti this? Are you anti that? Anyone who is right now really kind of stumping for Trey Lance to play seems to fall back on the same point. And they'll say, you don't know what you have. How can you draft someone at number 3 and not find out what you have? That's a fair point. I get the sentiment on that. Here would be my question, though. Those of you who want Trey Lance to start, you're basing that on what? This is a Super Bowl favorite. This is a team that can win the whole thing. We've already established there's no time to waste. You can't do that. You can't waste games. So if those are all the factors, what I would love to hear from the biggest Trey Lance fans out there, what is it that you've seen with your eyes? You've actually seen evidence and data that suggests that he should be the one to start if everybody's healthy week 1. What have you seen to this point? And while I'll grant you that there hasn't been a lot to see at all, but we've watched 4 games, and we've watched preseason games, and we've watched practice, and we get video from OTAs and all of that. What is it that you've seen that suggests to you, oh, my God, we got to get him out there?
I wonder. I wonder what that is. And I don't think it's fair or appropriate to say preseason games or OTAs, because preseason games in terms of how he looks, able to command the offense with Christian McCaffrey. He's never played with Christian McCaffrey. In a regular season game, he's played 5 quarters with the complement of players that he had this past year. He hasn't really done anything on the field, I think, that you would look at and say, yeah, absolutely, he's done X, Y, and Z. He's got to be the guy. I would say he would get the job for me by default if the guy he's competing against is either not healthy or not undefeated in the regular season. And the word is Brock Purdy is going to be healthy. He likely will be cleared by August 20th, I think, is the estimated date, 12 weeks from where he started throwing, which would give him a good almost 3 weeks to go between that day and the start of the regular season. So if Brock Purdy is fully cleared by August 20th, he's going to start, and this becomes a non-conversation.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. That's an interesting comment. I don't think there's any way this ever becomes a non-conversation. I mean,
we can have the conversation.
No,
do you think that Kyle Shanahan and Brian Griese are sitting around having a conversation other than when Brock is healthy, this is what we're going to do? No. I don't think that they're having a debate or a conversation.
Well, I think they're having a conversation. It's just probably not centered around what we think it's centered around. I think there's always conversation when you have somebody that has that kind of profile. You have got to have conversations every day about where he's at and where the organization is and what you want to do about it. They've got a hell of a decision to make. This is one thing that I find really, really fun about the 3 teams we discuss. There are decisions coming. There are incredibly difficult things to navigate that we're going to watch unfold here in a matter of months. The 49ers have to navigate this quarterback situation with all kinds of unknown. Who's healthy, who's hurt, who's playing well, who's not. Do you trade early? Do you hold? Do you end up with him as the 3rd string? They've got to navigate all that. The Warriors, they've got to navigate this Jordan Poole thing. And they have got to navigate a growing payroll to $500 million and figure out with a brand new general manager how it is they're going to win no matter what, don't care what the rules are. And then over there is the San Francisco Giants, who would love to spend money, can't seem to find anybody to take it. The young guys are finally showing up. Hell or high water, we're winning, and here comes Shohei. But can you ever land a big free agent ever? All of these things are incredibly difficult to navigate. And before we get to Christmas, we're going to get all the answers.
We should have them much sooner than that. in terms of the first two. The Shohei one, we may not know until after Christmas. Might be January, February. I'm trying to remember when we went to Linden in the ill-fated trip to try to bring Aaron Judge to the Giants. That felt like it was February.
I thought Aaron decided before Christmas, didn't he? You have to look that up.
That's Googleable, I'm sure, but it felt to me like it was after Christmas. But point being, the first one to drop, I think, is the Golden State Warriors in terms of what are they going to do with, as you mentioned, a payroll and tax that could approach $500 million. And beyond that, I think we're going to find out about the Niners. And it's really Trey Lance, because Brock Purdy's going to be the starter. He's going to be healthy, barring another injury or a setback. So to me, navigating the quarterback situation comes down to one thing, and that is, do you want to trade Trey Lance or do you want to hang on to Trey Lance? That, to me, is the only thing you have to navigate in terms of the quarterback.
Aaron Judge, by the way, the deal was officially announced on December 20th.
Okay, so it was right before.
It was a couple days before that we went through the whole Arson Judge experience, and then woke up at 5 a.m. to the news that he was going back to the Yankees, and then the official announcement came on Tuesday of the following week, December 20th. So we must have gone to Linden, and we went to Linden the day free agency opened. So that was probably all the way back in early November, right? Pretty early to mid-November. And then 6 weeks of waiting. And then we almost thought, we thought we did it. We thought
we'd landed the big fish.
For 17 minutes. Hey, did it grab you the wrong way at all? Did you see that Aaron spoke openly about arson the other day?
No, I missed that.
He sort of asked, because he's in L.A., so he's on the West Coast. So he asked how many home runs Arson had.
Nice.
For the Giants. There are a few friends of mine that didn't like that.
No, that's a little bit of a shot.
It's a little raw.
Yeah. Well, and again, you get what you get, Giants, when you turtled up and treated him like, a princess when you faced the Yankees. All you had to do is let Arson and Aaron know that you mean business.
Let's not do this again.
No, we're doing it for the new audience. Instead, you went to town and you threw him a cupcake of a strike and he hit it over the fence.
Yeah, he did.
He clowned you again. You got served, Farhan, a second time.
Farhan.
Kapler, you got served. They all got clowned.
Farhan's out there calling high and tight fastballs.
It was a consideration.
Do you think that Farhan is not in control of nearly everything that goes on with that team?
In terms of pitch selection?
In terms of like who plays when and who's on the roster and
of course.
You think Gabe Kapler comes up with everything on his own?
No, I don't think he's in charge of dotting people. I don't think the organization dots people. Period.
And I think that that's a weakness. I think it's a weakness. Again, I'm Dan Dibley, and I endorse this message. Instead of dotting Aaron Judge, you threw him a good hard strike, and he hit a homer off you, and they won the game.
They did.
In your face.
They did.
I killed my Nerfy that day, too, man.
Oh, man. But they won the next day. Remember that?
Yay! We earned a split. We did it.
No, they lost 2 out of 3.
No, because it was one of those broken threes.
Yeah.
It was game.
Remember?
Take a day off.
Take a day.
And then a game.
And then go to Chicago and hit 17 home runs in 4 minutes. You remember that?
Yeah.
Went to Chicago and lost their damn minds. Anyway.
Back to under 500. My Giants. My Giants. I'm a Giants fan. To your point about
I can't do this.
Navigating the quarterback thing with the 49ers, I think that it's overplayed a little bit because there's not much to navigate. You're either keeping Trey Lance as the backup or you're trading Trey Lance
but that's a lot to navigate.
It's not
that's
really
a lot
that
to
much
figure
to
out.
navigate.
No, that's a decision. That's a hell of a decision.
I think they know what they want to do. I don't think that they're down there in Santa Clara wondering, all right, Trey Lance, it's John and Kyle watching OTAs. All right, if Trey completes this one, Trey, you're back in. If this is a bad pass, Trey, you're getting traded.
No, but
I think that they know
evaluating.
definitively what they think about Trey Lance. I think they know what they want to do with Trey Lance. I don't think there's any mystery down there.
You do?
Absolutely.
What is it they want to do?
We're going to find out.
Well, no, but you think they already know.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think they know who the backup quarterback is.
Well,
I don't think they know who the backup quarterback is at all.
I think the backup is Sam Darnold unless they can't trade Trey Lance. If they're stuck with Trey Lance because they can't get compensation, then it's Trey Lance because you don't want to have him be QB3 on the roster because then he has no value.
What if Sam's QB3? Can't Trey beat
That's
out
fine.
Sam?
Oh, yeah, that's Sam.
Yeah.
Sam Schmam.
No, so that's what I think they're doing right now. Like they're evaluating their guys on the daily.
I think they've already evaluated Trey Lance to the point that they know what Trey Lance is.
Well,
and if they love Trey Lance, then they're not going to trade him.
That's tough to do with a player at that level who, in theory, would be getting better or changing on a month-by-month basis. That's what we've been talking about this whole day, right?
He's changing, but he's changing his mechanics in year 3.
Okay, fair. But if that's how you feel about Trey Lance, then I would transfer that to Jonathan Kuminga and ask every Warrior fan out there, stop acting like he's going to get better. We know exactly who Jonathan Kuminga is. He's raw. He can jump. He can't shoot very well. He can play defense when he wants to, and they've made up their mind, and that's who he is. No, don't you think about a guy that age and be like, man, by next year, he could be this much better.
That's an unfair comp to me.
Why?
Because Jonathan Kuminga is 20, and he played 1 year. Trey's 22, 23, 3 years of college, and now he's in his 3rd year of pro ball. So now he's 6 years out of high school.
23.
Okay, 6 years. He's Jordan Poole. He's 6 years out of high school.
But he's been in the pros the same number of years as Jonathan Kuminga.
Kuminga's played 2 years.
Yeah. Trey's played 2 years.
Trey's entering his 3rd year.
Yeah. Well,
Trey Lance played 3 years of college.
And 3 years of small college.
College.
Yeah.
College is college. Would you say the
college
FCS
is college?
Is FCS a higher level relative to football than the G League Ignite is relative to the association? I would argue that it is.
That's a good question, but I don't know. They're both.
Do I get credit for that's a good question? Because it felt like I should.
Well, I'm not being interviewed by you, so
he
I think
is
it's a
though
no.
right now.
Yeah,
let's go to Dibs, half in the back.
Let's go to Mark in the back. Well, I mean, the G League, both of them, you're right there. You're right there at the level below where you want to be. Right?
I would argue that
League,
Trey Lance in the FCS was a more impactful season than what Jonathan Kuminga did with the G League Ignite.
I'm not going to disagree with you there, but you're both like kind of you're right there at the level below what the highest level is at that age. You know, we've had so many of these conversations. Is North Dakota State actually a really good program that spits out NFL QBs? Yes. But is it Ohio State? No. No, he's not playing against defenders from Michigan. He's not. Like the guys he's playing, I don't even know who the hell North Dakota State plays. I give you
Idaho's.
Give me somebody who was on North Dakota's schedule, Trey Lance's last year there.
Oh, man. Well, North Dakota was, for sure. That's an
Are you
easy
sure?
one. Yeah, of course.
Are they rivals?
Yes. They play every year.
You sure?
They play for the Dakota platter.
There was...
It's a traditional platter upon which they serve bison back in the 18th century.
You're making stuff up, aren't you?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
I'm telling you, they played North Dakota.
North Dakota. Like, for instance, Montana and Montana State. It's two totally different levels of college football.
Right.
Yeah.
I bet you.
North Dakota State's schedule. What year was his last year?
That would be 2021.
All right. North Dakota.
No, he played 2019, and then 2020 was the COVID year.
Yeah.
They didn't play in 2021.
In that 2020 season, they played one game against Central Arkansas, which I do remember because he needed to win it on a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter.
Okay, did he
Central
play?
Arkansas.
Did he
2019 is the year we want.
Did he play in 21?
No.
Or was he already a 49er? He was already a 49er in 21, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So
2019 is the year
So
we
you're
want.
looking for 2019. All right.
I got him playing North Dakota for sure. I think they had the Central Arkansas rematch game, too.
Hang on, I'm looking at it right now. All right.
Because I'm not looking at it.
Yeah, I am.
That'd be cheating. Idaho State for sure was on their schedule.
They played North Dakota.
Yeah, and they beat them 47-21.
38-7.
Same thing.
38-7. They played Butler. They played Delaware. They played UC Davis. Hey! Who do
Got you, little FCS.
Who do you think won that game?
Oh, North Dakota State.
27-16. That's correct. They played Illinois State. They played Northern Iowa. Boy,
Yeah.
they beat the doors off of them. South Dakota State.
Of course.
Throw the records out for that one. They played Missouri State. They played Youngstown State. They played Western Illinois, Southern Illinois, South Dakota again.
In the playoffs.
In the playoffs, correct. Nicholls State. There's Illinois State again. James Madison and Montana State. There it is.
Yeah.
And you know how many of those games they lost?
One. They lost one game.
They did? I don't think they did.
They didn't lose a game?
I don't think they lost.
He
That's
threw
correct.
one pick, I know, all year.
That's correct. Never lost a game.
Right.
Yeah,
But again,
that's different competition.
to
very,
my
very
point
different.
about your comp, I think it's not a good comp because he is now, that's 2019. Do you know
Yeah.
where Jonathan Kuminga was in 2019?
Was he
I believe he
taking
was
his
still in
driver's
Africa.
test?
No, basically, am I right? Trey Lance is balling out, and Jonathan Kuminga was a
But
16-year-old.
balling out against James Madison. Like, all I'm saying is
Right.
let's not act like that's the highest levels of the high. And he was only, 19 years old.
It's
He's only
tier
19.
3. It's tier 3.
Yeah.
NFL is tier 1. FBS would be 2. FCS is 3.
Sure.
Just like the G League is tier 3 as well.
Yeah.
The NBA is 1. Your various Euro Basket League would be 2. And then you'd go to the G League.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. That both, I do think it's a pretty decent comp.
It's an average comp.
Again, and
It's a comp.
but the comp wasn't even really made. All I was saying is you're not going to tell someone at age 20, 21, 22, or 23 with levels of play that are pretty low. You're not going to tell them that, like, oh, that's who you're going to be. We know who you're going to be. Like, there's so much room for those guys to get better.
I think it's easier for Jonathan Kuminga to get better than it is for Trey Lance to get better. Because Trey Lance, in order to get better, you need to play at the highest level. You need to play team football. You need to play regular season games. You need to go out there and go through it. For Jonathan Kuminga to get better, you can get better, and I apologize, Guru, for the theft that's upcoming, in the lab. He can go in the lab and get better more easily than Trey Lance can get better in the lab.
Maybe.
Thank you for
maybe. I'm gonna borrow a phrase from someone else. I'm gonna borrow a phrase from my alma mater, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Their motto: learn by doing. Nah, you got it. You got to play. You got to play. You got to play the actual games. I think that's true for both of them.